welcome back to Chicago Now. We're going to kind of slow down the show, talk about something really important that I think all parents need to listen to, and that's the topic of cyberbullying. School is back in session, and this is a real situation that kids may encounter. And joining us now, we have Rose and Rob Bronstein. They've been with us before. They created Buckets Over Bullying, really out of their pain, turning their pain into purpose. We want to thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about, how you came to even develop this nonprofit.
Well, back in January of 2022, we lost our son Nate to suicide after he was viciously cyberbullied by certain basketball players and students at the Latin School of Chicago. At the time of his death, we were not aware that he had been cyberbullied. We did not find out until 2 weeks after we had lost him that he had experienced cyberbullying. The Latin School of Chicago had received a report from Nate. He had reported that he had been cyberbullied and gave the evidence, very clear evidence of it and who was behind it. They minimized his report, and they deliberately chose not to notify us after he reported.
I remember speaking with you.
Yeah.
I believe it was this past year, and you were on an information quest from the school itself. Get us updated on that. Has the Latin School been more forthcoming with any of the information that you all have been seeking?
Well, we can't comment because we're currently in litigation.
Got it.
Okay. One thing that I noticed talking to you, and I've spoken with, because you're a victim, right? And I've spoken with victims' families over the years. And this is raw. This is real emotion. This is something that you'll never forget. You can't replace Nate. What has life been like for you? I know you're fighting for other people to not have to go through this, but you still have to deal with the raw emotion at the same time.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what you said, which is, absolutely, it's very real, and we deal with it every day, but no question, working all the time to educate other families, to make sure that this happens ideally never again, but really anything we can do to protect other families, to let other parents know about what was our blind spot, is what sort of gives you a purpose to move on. And look, what we were dealt a terrible hand, but we also feel fortunate that, and we're happy to talk about some of what we're doing, but we feel fortunate that we have been able to get so much traction because it's such an issue, it's such a problem.
Yeah.
I've got a 9-year-old boy, I've got a 4-year-old boy. The 9-year-old they're just getting the phase where he's got a smart watch to keep track of his location, to share text messages. We have signed this wait till 8th pledge.
Great.
So he's not getting a cell phone until after he graduates from 8th grade. That is gaining traction at his elementary school. You guys have something called Screenshot It, Block It, and Report It. This issue, technology, the kinds of social dynamics I'm seeing with my own boys in their grade, some of the text messages that I've seen come through on his phone, I'm already very paranoid. And the thing is, Maggie and I, my wife and I, we feel like we're improvising every day. Just improvising, oh my gosh, this came in. How do we handle it with their parents? Do we tell the school? So I want to get into Screenshot It, Block It, Report It, and then also to Rob's point, you described it as a blind spot. Fill in these blind spots, because I feel like every single day I'm dealing with a new blind spot.
So, as I've spent the past few years as an advocate for social media safety and reform, and holding schools accountable, social media platforms accountable, negligent parents need to be held accountable. I just keep seeing it's like rinse and repeat. The cyberbullying does not stop. There has been no disruption in the status quo to get this to stop. And after losing our son, we said, okay, we got to get out there and stop this. 3 years later, like you said, it has not stopped at all. It has not changed. And so in my head, I'm like, we actually need to start to talk about how do we mobilize as parents when either our own child is being victimized by cyberbullying, or we hear or know of someone else's child being victimized by cyberbullying. Because right now, like you said, most parents say, I'm staying out of it, I don't want to get involved. Or a child says, well, I don't want to say anything because then my friends are going to call me a snitch, or someone's going to retaliate against me, or then I'm going to get cyberbullied. All these natural human thoughts and emotions come through, so everyone gets paralyzed and does nothing. And when you do nothing, this is why suicide is the second leading cause of death among children ages 10 to 19 in the United States. When did you ever hear of that? When we were kids, when did you ever hear of 9 and 10-year-olds dying by suicide after being cyberbullied? So what we're trying to do is to try to actually start to get parents to actually think about action steps. Like you said, what can I do, or what should I do, and how do I talk to my kids about this? Now, it's not foolproof, but it's like almost the same idea of when we were young, we've all been conditioned to call 911 when you see someone gets hit by a car, you see someone fall down on a sidewalk. If your first instinct is like, should I call 911? I need to call 911, we need help, right? This is kind of that idea, but in the virtual world. But we need to get, because our children are the ones online, we need to get them to the point to empower them to feel safe and have the confidence to speak up and to understand that I'm not going to get bullied myself. I'm actually getting somebody out of trouble, and I'm actually helping somebody. Because what kids tend to think is, if I say something, I'm going to get bullied or snitches, right? Or I'm going to get someone else in trouble. But we need to talk to them and say, you're actually helping get someone out of trouble. So screenshot it, block it, report it. We need to talk to our kids about when you see someone being cyberbullied, even if you think that someone's being funny or it's a joke, you need to screenshot it. Most of the time, kids are being cyberbullied on platforms with the disappearing message feature, specifically Snapchat. Because on Snapchat, kids feel more emboldened to bully because, oh, well, the message will disappear in 24 hours. There's no evidence. I can deny it. I can deflect. I can say it wasn't me. There's no evidence. That's what happened to our child. Our child was bullied over Snapchat, and same thing, message disappears, so why not do it? But also, to be clear, in screenshotting it, it's just to get the evidence to share with a parent or a trusted adult or a guardian. And in severe cases, if it needs to be taken to a school or needs to be taken to the police, at least the evidence is there. But we need to also tell our kids that it's not meant to be reposted or reshared with anybody else. It is just to be kept within your family unit or within the people that you trust to help get to the proper point in time to start to get the ball rolling, to get the right help.
So if you screenshot a bullying text message, it's not to put that person on public blast. Here, this is what so-and-so said to me. Look at how mean he is. This is for the parents and perhaps the school authorities so that they can get involved and necessary.
Exactly.
And that is, to clarify, that is your equivalent of calling 911. That would be
in my mind. Yes.
Okay, that's the parallel.
It needs to start somewhere, right? Because in many cases, kids like to justify cyberbullying. Well, I was just kidding, or I was just trying to be funny, or I didn't mean it. You put it down, you did it for a reason. And so how else, and sometimes we call 911 and it's not really a true emergency, but we always err on the side of caution, right? And we need to tell our children that too. Like, even though you're questioning whether it's cyberbullying, you're better off screenshotting it and saying, Mom, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, like, this is what's happening to this child right now, or this is what's happening to me. Can you please help me? What do I do?
Let me ask you this. Let me hop in here, because what I think of when you say some of what you said is that some of these schools, you know, when your kid goes to a new school, you sign like a non-bullying pledge and all of this. A lot of school districts have that. Does that go far enough? Because schools have it and kids are still being cyberbullied.
They don't follow it. And this is another reason why we've decided to take this route. At this point, from what I've seen over the past year, all these years, schools are not all schools, but in all of these tragic cases, it is rinse and repeat. Schools are not protecting our children from bullying and cyberbullying. They will have it in their handbook, they will have it in their policies, but when push comes to shove, they turn a blind eye, they deflect, they deny, and they choose to vilify the victim, blame the parent, and take no responsibility. So in order to disrupt the status quo, as parents, we need to mobilize and say, it is on us to protect our own children, and if we don't protect our own children, who is? We can't rely on the schools anymore.
Because they're in CYA mode.
Exactly.
You know, putting this stuff in their handbook so that they can say down the road, well, here, these are the proactive, these are the proactive measures we took.
But then they don't. But then they don't do anything. Right, so we can't rely on them right now. We need to start to hold them accountable for that.
The screenshot initiative here, is there a way, I mean, would you, okay, so that is, I'm just trying to like put myself into the mind of a child if I'm going to have the presence of mind to make that screenshot. Is there monitoring software as well that you guys might recommend that would take a little bit of the variables out of this? Because, you know, as I look at this through the lens of a dad, I'm like, gosh, in the heat of the moment, if this comes through, am I going to get that screenshot? And then with the disappearing stuff, it just makes it so time sensitive. What is your message there?
Well, there's an amazing company out there called Bark Technologies. Their website is actually bark.us, and they do offer third-party monitoring software that does alert parents when their child is receiving dangerous content, anything from cyberbullying to suicidal ideation. When teens are being sextorted, that's a huge issue right now. Those types of messages can be caught. The way it works is that as a parent, you download the software, your child has to have the software, and then alerts come to you when there's dangerous content coming in.
Bark.us. Go ahead, Rob.
If you think about antivirus software in your computer, it constantly needs to be updated because there's new malware and viruses out there. As parents, we're not going to be up to speed on the latest lingo and slang.
Right.
You know, so, for example, just the terminology that young people might use when they're being solicited to buy drugs online, like you would, it changes constantly.
It's like symbols, right?
They're little
exactly. It is.
Tia, did you see what was the show that debuted in the UK?
I think I know.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Adolescence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did you see Adolescence yet? Oh my gosh. That actually, you know, I know that's based on a couple of cases in the UK, but it really tells the story. Parents out there should see this, if not just it's a cautionary tale. But like you guys were saying, the series depicts detectives that are trying to zero in on the cyberbullying that's going on in a middle school there, and it's all symbols.
Yeah.
If you looked at these scrolls, you wouldn't even know
what's going on.
Cyberbullying. Like things like a blue heart means something different than a green heart in this context, or a hand palm thing in this. You would never know. The kids had to explain it to the detective.
No idea.
And it changes rapidly, and again, so a third-party company like Bark, and there are others, but Bark is one that we're familiar with and have a lot of confidence in. But a company like that can invest in constantly updating, to look for it. And to go back a second to talking about schools, even the most well-meaning, well-intentioned schools, again, just like parents probably can't keep up with the speed at which not only the symbols, but as you know, the students, the young people move from one platform to another, right? And so, so for example, a lot of parents might say, well, I'm going to monitor my child's Instagram account. Well, they don't even understand that they're doing 2 or 3 other platforms you've never even heard of.
Right.
Let's talk about, because you have a big event coming up that will be in Times Square. Let's talk about that and really the meaning and intention behind that event.
Sure. So,
Sure. So we try to partner with organizations. We'll be partnering with the AAU this Saturday in Times Square. They have an event every year called the Times Square Takeover. They set up courts, basketball courts in Times Square, and they run tournaments all day long. So we feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with the AAU. Basketball was our son's greatest joy. He loved basketball, so we try to reach athletes through basketball. And we work with Tristan Jass, who's a social media influencer. Also, he is known for his basketball trick shots on YouTube and Instagram, and our son was a big fan of his. Tristan is one of our founding members of our organization, and we're so grateful to him. He uses his platform and his voice as a megaphone to reach exactly who we need to speak to. We need to speak to children ages as young as 9 all the way to 18 about the dangers of cyberbullying. So he will be there at the Times Square takeover. He'll be speaking there to the athletes before they start the game. Messaging around, we'll be talking about screenshot it, block it, and report it. Hopefully we'll be able to reach parents as well. Talk about, like, this is what we need to do to mobilize now today to really start to disrupt the dangers of how dangerous cyberbullying is, rather than just step back and do nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, like I described, this whole, as a dad here, it feels like an improvisation every single day, and it feels like I'm a hockey goalie, you know, like the pucks are getting past me, all this stuff. For folks out there who are watching today, how can they find out more about Buckets Over Bullying and get some resources to take some of this guesswork away, like today?
Just visit our website at bucketsoverbullying.org. We have all the steps for screenshotting, blocking, and report it, and what you need to do to support each of those tasks. And if parents can start to think about those 3 steps themselves and talk to their children about it as well, I really truly believe that we can start to shift, make a little bit of change in the way that both our children and parents react or don't react to cyberbullying, because like you said, we all feel paralyzed and nothing's changing. And then just quickly, just in terms of blocking it, we really need to then ask our children, when they see cyberbullying coming through, they need to block the bully. If your child is being cyberbullied, the very first thing your child needs to do is block the cyberbully off their account, so that those harmful messages don't keep coming at them, because the more it comes in, the more mental and emotional harm it does. And then you also need to report it to the platform. Platforms have a duty to take it down. However, that's not always the case. So again, it's going back to the family unit, going back to the parents, saying, I need help, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandparent, whoever you are, please help. I'm being victimized, or my friend or someone at school is being victimized today. I'm seeing it on Instagram. We've got to do something. We've got to stop this.
I really appreciate you both coming here and really turning your pain into purpose. That's a really hard thing, you know, to do and to keep going despite the loss of your son. So we appreciate you both. We really do.
Rose and Rob Bronstein, thank you both so much for being on the program. Really appreciate it. And thank you for all you are doing for all of us out there.
Parents, you're helping us.
Thank you for helping us get the message.
Absolutely. We will post this and spread it far and wide. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back.